3 years ago, I thought I'd finally escape the madness. After 15 brutal years as a corporate attorney in downtown Chicago, drowning in 60-hour work weeks and heart-pounding deadlines, I cashed out my retirement early and bought myself a cabin by Lake Granite Ridge. It wasn't fancy one. 900 square feet of weathered cedar, a stone chimney, and wraparound porch, but it was mine. It was supposed to be my sanctuary. My first few weeks were perfect. Coffee at dawn, birdsong instead of sirens, neighbors who waved from a distance. I even got back to working on a novel I'd abandoned a decade ago. That piece lasted exactly 12 days right up until my first run-in with Evelyn Brooks. Evelyn was the HOA president of our gated community. Late 50s, always in heels, with a stiff gray bob and an obsession with control. She greeted me at the first HOA meeting with a smile that didn't touch her eyes and said, "We like to keep things orderly here. Mr. Langston, I trust you'll adjust." A week later, I received a formal violation notice taped to my door. Apparently, the cabin's forest green exterior wasn't HOA approved. Never mind that the previous owner had painted it years ago. I repainted it within their natural stone palette. 2 days later, another citation, this time for overgrown grass. My yard was trimmed tighter than a Marine's haircut, but I measured every blade anyway. Nothing over 2 inches. Didn't matter. That's when I noticed retired cop turned HOA enforcer Travis Mott taking pictures of my house at dusk, clipboard in hand. My gut twisted. I installed cameras around my cabin. Good thing I did, because just before dawn one morning, my footage caught Evelyn herself dragging my trash bins from their spot behind the shed to the front driveway. Then Travis showed up, snapped photos, and filed a violation. That's when I realized I wasn't being regulated. I was being hunted. The harassment escalated fast. They hit me with over $750 in fines within a month. Towels on the porch railing? Violation. Wind chimes too loud? Violation. By the time they stormed my cabin for the third time, this time claiming unauthorized bird feeders, I knew this wasn't about HOA rules. This was personal. I tried presenting my evidence at an HOA meeting. Brought printed screenshots, timestamps, even a DVD of Evelyn and Travis moving my trash bins. But Evelyn shut me down. "This isn't on the agenda, Mr. Langston," she chirped. Travis stood nearby, his fake badge on full display. I left that meeting boiling with rage. No one backed me up, not yet. That changed when I met Clara Reyes. Architect, mid-30s, quiet but sharp. She pulled me aside in the parking lot. "Don't take it personal," she whispered. "Evelyn does this to anyone she doesn't like. You're just the latest." Over coffee outside the community gates, Clara shared stories, families forced to sell, elderly residents shamed into silence. Evelyn controlled the board, the rules, even the security team. Anyone who questioned her was targeted. The fines weren't random. They were weapons. That night, I upgraded my security system. More cameras, motion-activated alerts, hidden microphones. Within a week, Travis and his crew raided my cabin again, this time with a bogus document claiming an emergency inspection for hazardous materials. I stood in my pajamas, recording as they barged in, ransacked my kitchen, slashed my couch cushions, and tried to confiscate cleaning supplies as evidence. The so-called hazmat inspector? Travis's nephew. He worked at an auto parts store. I called the real police. They shrugged. "Talk to your HOA. Sir. Civil matter." That was the 7th raid. But it was also the last. Because I had every violation, every break-in, every lie documented, backed up to a secure server run by my old law school friend, Ben Keller, who now specialized in property rights litigation. Together, we built a legal time bomb. Harassment, trespassing, defamation, fraud, impersonation of a law enforcement officer. Evelyn and Travis had no idea who they were messing with. Then came the break. I didn't expect a text from a burner number. "Meet me at Granite Bean Cafe, 7 a.m. tomorrow. I have info on Evelyn." I showed up early. At 7 sharp, a woman in her early 30s walked in, clutching a manila envelope like it was a life preserver. "Are you Jacob Langston?" she asked. sliding into the booth without waiting for an answer. Her name was Andrea Dalton, Evelyn's former executive assistant. I got fired for asking questions. She whispered. About the money. Where it was going. The envelope she handed me? A gold mine. Bank records. Emails. Spreadsheets, all showing Evelyn had been siphoning HOA funds into personal accounts. Over $900. 000 diverted to build a pool at her private home. Pay for vacations. And funnel security payments to Travis. Even worse, documents ranking residents by threat level, with strategies to remove them. My name? Top of the list. Annotated, attorney. Use environmental violations. Ben and I filed the lawsuit 2 days later. I also sent the entire packet to a local journalist named Sarah Pierce, who had been covering HOA corruption. Her eyes widened as she read through the file. This is criminal, she said. Not just overreach, this is theft, abuse, fraud. Clara helped organize a secret meeting of affected homeowners. We met at her place. Nearly 20 residents showed up, each with their own horror story. We presented the lawsuit and proposed a coordinated legal assault. Class action, press coverage, everything. The energy in that room shifted from fear to fury. The next day, Evelyn made her move. I got a security alert. Live footage showed Travis and 2 others posting fake hazard notices on my cabin, locking the doors, and taping up the windows with yellow caution tape. I raced back with 3 neighbors as witnesses. I confronted them, phone in hand. This is a fraudulent evacuation notice, I said loudly. The inspector was your nephew. He works at AutoZone. You've committed criminal trespass and vandalism. Residents started emerging. Phones recording. I raised my voice. Evelyn Brooks has stolen nearly $1 million from HOA funds. I have the documents. She's used those funds to terrorize this community and enrich herself. Then, like a gift from the universe, flashing red and blue lights lit up the street. But these weren't local cops. They were state police, and they brought 2 FBI agents. They approached Evelyn and Travis calmly. Ma'am, we need to speak with you regarding allegations of wire fraud, embezzlement, and impersonation of law enforcement. Evelyn tried to bluster. This is private HOA business. But her hands were already shaking. The news spread like wildfire. Local TV, social media, national headlines. Within a week, 17 other homeowners had filed lawsuits. The HOA's insurer caved. They offered me a $2 million settlement. I took it with one condition. Half would go into a support fund for victims of HOA abuse. At the next community meeting under new leadership, I stood before a packed clubhouse. This isn't about hating HOAs, I said. It's about hating corruption. Laws are meant to protect people, not give petty tyrants unchecked power. Evelyn Brooks was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison. Travis took a plea deal, 3 years probation and a lifetime ban from security work. I stayed in Granite Ridge, rebuilt my cabin, started a website to help others fight HOA overreach. And every morning, I drink coffee on my porch, knowing exactly how far I'll go to protect what's mine. Last week, I sent Evelyn a postcard in prison. Just 2 words, still here.